Welcome back to wrong podcast. Hello, welcome to the Daily Grind here on Latte Firm. I'm delighted to be joined by Alex Moneypenny of the Different Knock and the Cannon podcast, which has just finished. And what a brilliant stream it was with the Hand of Rohan. How are you, Alex?
Very, very good, sir. Very, very good. I'm nice to see your smiling face. We're all happy, aren't we?
We are happy. We are happy. What a 24, 36 hours it's been for Arsenal. Last night, Sammy Mockbell was my guest. He was talking about how the story of Christian Nørgaard broke and how we reported it. And all of a sudden, he's signing for Arsenal. But, Alex, Arsenal fans are split. They're not happy. So we're going to talk about Christian Nørgaard, what you're expecting of him, if you still think we're short in midfield. Then, of course, Hand of Arsenal, the GOAT of ITK, broke the story that we are interested in Christian Mosquera. We're going to talk about him towards the end of the show. But to start, my friend, Lewis-Skelly has announced that he wants to create a legacy at Arsenal after signing a new 5-year contract with our boyhood club. How are you feeling about that?
Man, I love the announcement. I loved it. I loved the parallels with the Saka announcement. I loved the inclusion of the grandma. I just loved everything, mate. I thought the club handled it so brilliantly, and also because it's not been a saga really as well. And it could have been a saga. It could have been a is he, isn't he, whatever. But yeah, it's been handled brilliantly. Look, I said this on TCB Live. You might get some recycled analysis here, but there you go. Thank you, Dave. But I think a lot of this. Miles is clearly, for me, seems like, well, you meet those dudes who, and they're young or whatever, and you can just see they've got that laser focus. They're going nowhere but up. And he's not gonna. There was the moment where he sort of sees his whole family, and he's like, "Oh, cool." And I sort of wanted him to be like, you know what I mean? You wanted that moment to come where he sort of realizes what he's done, but he won't realize what he's done. He won't realize really until he's probably, who knows what age. He is just on this unbelievable trajectory. He's modeling and doing all sorts of stuff. What a guy, what a representation of Arsenal Football Club. And yeah, I think it could be seen as a formality to get a academy player done, but we've had Real Madrid in for him. This shouldn't, and same with other contracts as well. This shouldn't be seen as, of course you get contracts done. No, not of course. Look what's happening with Konate. Look what happened with Trent, a centre back and a full back at the guys we're trying to chase. Right, we got those guys done. So it's not a formality. It's hard, and we did it.
We did. Hand of Arsenal is in the house, is Latte Firm. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Really appreciate it. Get involved in the chat, like the video, subscribe if you're new. We had 600 new subscribers overnight. We're almost getting to the Different Knock and the Cannon podcast numbers. That's what I'm here for. Just on Miles Lewis-Skelly. Look, his contract was due to expire next summer, 18 years old. He broke into the team, of course, last season, establishing himself as a regular under Arteta, regular of now with England, number one left back at both institutions. He was quoted as saying on the Arsenal website today, "I want to win the trophies on the biggest stages, whilst always being, humble, staying grounded," which is so important to me. It's a massive, massive statement for Arsenal to sign one of the best prospects up for his long-term future, 5-year contract. I mean, you talk about the video, Alex, very, very wholesome. Lovely to see his family. Didn't react. What a star he's going to be, man. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I hope he has an injury-free career. But honestly, the level of this kid, and he's going to continue to grow, like physically, mentally, experience-wise. We can't even see his ceiling. Like, nope. You just don't know how much better this guy is gonna get. So very, very wholesome. Very happy that he has decided to stay. So super, super happy. And do you think Ethan Nwaneri will follow?
Yeah, surely. I didn't know he'd used the phrase "staying humble" in his. That's
he did. And do you know what? There are some news outlets that have taken that completely the wrong way, as you would expect. So Sky Sports have positioned an article to say that he's had a dig at Erling Haaland in the announcement of his new contract, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that is just the way that the media works these days, and that is what we have to put up with. There we are. Right, let's move on to the news story that has basically split Arsenal fans, Alex. And I say split because there were a number of us, including myself and perhaps yourself, who were expecting a little bit more. Legs comes to mind, but we'll talk about that in just a second. It has split Arsenal opinions. On one side of the fence, very sensible move, very smart sort of addition to the squad. On the other side, typical Arsenal, need a refresh in midfield, and we've gone out and just got, a 31-year-old who's not very good. So look, basic information. What do we know about him? 31 years of age, very tall. So Nico Yova will be licking his lips and pondering his set piece dossier with delight. Currently playing at Brentford, is a Denmark international with 35 caps, predominantly right-footed, loves to play central midfield, particularly defensive midfield, where he spent 2/3 of his time last season. 34 appearances last season in the league, all 34 starts for Brentford. 55% of his duels won. Doesn't compare as high as Zubimendi and a couple of others at Arsenal. Passing accuracy of 83%. Gets dribble past at least once a game, on average once a game. And yellows and reds. Feistiness in him. We all remember the challenge of Martinelli at the Emirates, and his contract was due to expire in a couple of years' time. Where do we start? Let's talk about just your overall thoughts. How are you assessing this signing?
Well, good question. I think every signing needs to be contextualized, and that's not to shy away from the fact that I don't think this is the perfect signing, but I do think it needs to be contextualized. And what we've seen, mate, over the last sort of 48 hours, we've seen a flurry. We've seen Kepa happen. We've seen Mosquera advance very, very quickly, and we've seen Nørgaard happen very, very quickly. That tells me that we are that something has moved. I don't know what that is, whether that's Rodrigo or Šeško or whatever. I'm pretty sure that we'll get some big news soon. We're also approaching the end of the PSR deadline, and I suspect that we're trying to get some stuff done. This to me makes a lot of sense in this situation. If Arsenal are about to go and spend big money, as we believe that they should do, hopefully on let's say Rodrigo and Šeško, that's somewhere in the region of 160 to 180, 100, maybe even 200 million pounds that they're putting down in next year's financial year. So before then, can they use up their PSR headroom on players like this, and then this would make a lot of sense. If I'm totally on, and we've got basically the depth for the goalkeeper, the sort of centre backy, right back, which I think the first time I was on the Daily Grind, I sort of gave you my list, and the centre back was on there, and I wanted another 6'8". If I'm totally honest, mate, I would have, if you give me a blank check, I would have put down Balaba's name, right? But you can't have a team full of prospects, and we may end up signing a 20-something, whatever. Šeško, what is he, 21, 22 now? Šeško, a prospecty centre forward, a prospecty centre back, right back. We may be signing a Jarell Hato as a prospecty left backy type player. You can't do prospects for your entire window, especially in such an important position on the pitch. That's one thing. And secondly, I think, the legs thing is a massive aspect of this. But Christian Nørgaard, look, it's not like he ran the most distance in the Premier League last season. He's a brilliant athlete in one sense. The only thing I'm concerned about a little bit is that 5%, 1% Declan Rice quality, where you can eat up ground from a standing start like that and stop transitions. That is a concern for me. However, what I watch and what I see with Nørgaard is a really good brain, mate. A really good brain. Someone who can jump in early, someone who reads situations. I think his interception numbers, I don't know if you've got them there. Have you got them on there? No, but his interception numbers are through the roof. From everything I'm seeing, you've seen their front foot defending tackle success. He's a really, really smart, ahead of the game defender. First time passes, sniffing situations. He's really top. The only thing there, and you sort of mentioned this before I come back to you on the 8 yellows and 1 red. The thing that we looked at yesterday for the canon on the scouted, I think what it is, you could sort of say, he's got a discipline issue. For me, it's more he's a bit jumpy, and he's a bit Xhaka. And I think, do you know what I mean? In that sort of like, I'm going to go show you that I'm the man. And I think in a less transitional team, in a team that isn't trying to go straight forward to Mbeumo and Wissa straight away, in a more settled team, I wouldn't worry about that, because a lot of the situations where I see him lunging in is in those transitional moments. So yeah, I think that the concerns I have are slightly assuaged. If I'm totally honest, is it brilliant? And I'm going to go, oh my God, this is the perfect signing. No, I have a few concerns, and think the passing quality maybe isn't top of the range. But for the fee for a Premier League captain, in context with what I believe we're about to do, I won't have any complaints, I don't think.
I think he has an edge about him. And I think he's
Yeah.
gonna ruffle feathers on opposition teams. I think he has got the dark arts, and he's much more of a player than just the dark arts. But Thomas Frank has been speaking so highly of him, so eloquently of him, as he always does. To be fair, that's really annoying that he's gone to that lot.
Oh, so
But
annoying.
I know, but he's talked about him being obviously the leader, being the brain. He treats every player as if they were the same. And I think the example that Thomas Frank gave was that he would absolutely lash out to Brian and Burmo as he would to a young 17-year-old. Like, if you're making an error, he's model professional. When the news broke yesterday, and I said this to Sammy, I was massively underwhelmed. And I think it's because of my expectations. Like, I wanted, like you say, someone mobile, someone at the top of his game, top of the game, rather. I wanted like another Declan Rice. I wanted another 60, 70, 80 million pound player. And it's not the fee. I guess it's more the name. But when you think about it, and you think about his experience and the fact that he's club captain, I think that goes a long way. He's a very intelligent player. You talk about the ground that he covers and his defensive numbers, and the fact that he's going to be the floor of the midfield, I think. So if you think about Jorginho and El Neni, who have obviously been moved on over the last couple of years, this guy is coming in to be that floor of that midfield sort of selection of players that we've got. Yeah. Zubamendi's coming in to hopefully replace and elevate from a party perspective, and then you've got your Rice, your Odegaard, and your Marino. We'll talk about midfield options in just a second. You talk about, the Athletic have got the radar there. You can see his tackle success. You can see his pass, progression in the highest sort of percentiles of those sort of stats. So he's very, very, very good on the ball. And like you say, a tall guy. Arteta loves tall people. Nico Jova loves tall players. It's going to be a useful addition from a set piece perspective. And he's hurt us a number of times. Corners, throws. He scored against us a couple of times. Look, I just think there's no need to be upset about this signing. There's no need to be angry. And my last point on this is, I do sometimes think, Alex, it's the order of which we announce these. Like, had we have done our strikers first, and then maybe signed Zubamendi, and then last day of the window, we just went out and splashed out, 9 million quid on a Nørgaard to kind of shore up the squad. I think a lot of Arsenal fans would be like, that's a really sensible move from Mikel. Yeah. Like, just a bit of depth, but we've done it in such a weird order. Backup goalkeeper. Then, of course, this Zubamendi's been on the radar for months and months and months. And by the time he actually signs and it's announced, it'll be like, yawn, old news. Yeah. I do think that psychology plays a lot of mind games with Arsenal sort of fans. In terms of where he's going to play, these are the positions that he played courtesy of Opta Analyst last season. 64% of his time in defensive midfield, 35% of his time central midfield. He has played one game in his career at right back. And we know how much Mikel Arteta loves a versatile midfielder right back.
Please, no.
But you mentioned something that was quite interesting about the number of games that he's missed, and you called it a con on your socials yesterday. What did you mean by that?
Well, before I answer just quickly, I think your point about I have a phrase, and people who've listened to me for a long time will know it. What I'm about to say: order does not equal priority, and it's just such a good point. It really is, and you're so right about how it's sort of been perceived. I think it's bang on. Well, I understand. I mean, I put it out there simply just to add a picture. It's not, it's not a big issue for me necessarily. I think he's been pretty stable over the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons. But and maybe part of it is a pro, because he's only played less than 400 pro appearances or something. And you can, obviously you have players who get into the 600s and 700s. So he's, even for a 31-year-old, he's not got crazy sort of minutes in the legs. But he's missed, he's played something like, I don't know the exact numbers, but he's played something like 340 and he's missed 100 or so. So he had a lot of injuries early on in his career. It's just a small concern. It's not necessarily a big, I'm really worried. But if I've missed a third of the amount of pro apps I've also played, I don't think it's controversial to say it's something to look at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I've got to say, though, when I was looking at his appearance sort of history, the last couple of seasons, he has been largely ever present. However, if you span back 6-7 years, you're right. He's missed over 100 games with injuries. And I'm not sure if that number would be too dissimilar to quite a few of our players. but
he's 31. He's bound to miss some for sure.
Yeah, and at 31, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I'm going to have a go. I think he might be the oldest player in the squad.
I think so. Yeah. Well, Partey and Jorginho have gone, so I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Ham says, fellas, we're getting a solid Premier League captain as our third, fourth choice midfielder. We aren't Manchester City. We can't afford our entire squad to be on 200 grand a week. Perfect age and wage to move on in a couple of years too. I want to just get your thoughts before we turn our attention to another transfer target. Are we still short in midfield? So let's have a look at the refresh. So Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard will obviously still be around. Marino will hopefully drop back into midfield. Jorginho has gone. Partey will be released. Hand of Arsenal breaking that story. Fabio Vieira, would you integrate him back into the team, Alex? Not convinced.
Well, I think the talent is obviously George and I on the kind of, we go back and forth about this all the time. George is convinced that he's, he just needs a run of games. And I hear it. I mean, ultimately, until he has a run of games, I can't say to you he's definitely, because he's literally, I mean, I don't think he's played 2 90s in a row for Arsenal in the league. I could be wrong, or certainly it's, he's maybe done it once or something. In terms of back-to-back 90s for Arsenal, you can make a decent argument to say, has he been given the chances? Okay. But here's the question, Faisal. The best players force themselves. They give you no option but to play them. There's so many talented players, but what really separates a Kevin De Bruyne from, I don't know, a James Maddison or a Bruno Fernandes, or whatever, like brilliant attacking midfielders from the very, very best. Is it, I'm not in any way suggesting, and people are going to say this the wrong way, but I'm not in any way suggesting that De Bruyne isn't better than them technically. He is, but for me, the big difference is in the brain. It's in the brain. It's in the ability to get back up and go again and keep yourself fit and get yourself in the team and be the winner and go again and go win again and win another title in a row, whatever it might be. That stuff affect games every single week. That to me is the biggest difference at the top level. They can all trap a ball. They can all do the bleep test. Do you know what I mean? That's really the difference. And I think for me with Vieira, can he force himself into the team? I can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, I feel for the boy, because I don't think he's ever had a sort of long run of games in the team, and I feel that the boat's just left the dock, basically. I think, he would probably end up going on loan again. He's playing at the FIFA Club World Cup. I haven't caught a minute or even a second of that tournament, so I have no idea how he's doing. We were expecting Zubimendi to come in. We're expecting, obviously, Nørgaard to come in. News also in the last 24 hours, Ben Jacobs and Hand of Arsenal has sort of whispered that Eze is high on our list. We're obviously sort of pursuing Rodrigo, but does this guy float your boat? I mean, used to be on the Arsenal Academy. Louis saying, if we get Eze, I'll cry tears of joy. Would you?
Well, I think the non-articulate sort of fun aspect of me that just goes, I want to watch a fun player would 100%. And that is a big part of it. Like we're rationalizing and we're trying to understand things and we're trying to make sense of things. We're saying, well, if we platform that player there, if we but that quality, sometimes you just want to watch a player play, man. And you just want to watch someone who's clearly loves their game. And one of the biggest things for me with Eze, his ball carrying and his quality, I think his shot taking is extraordinary when he chooses to go. He tries things. He tries stuff. And when I look at that group there, as you sort of allude to, I'd include Ethan in this as well. I'm looking at a group that I can see creativity. So, I can say to you, yeah, Martin Odegaard, he's got a really nice reverse pass and he's got a really nice, I think he's got a nice ball to the back post. I'm talking about technical things. I'm not saying I have no idea what he's going to do. I have no idea. Unpredictability, just that ability to just go, right, do you know what did he do against us? Just like ball comes to the edge of the box, pinged it, in and off the crossbar. That quality, I don't know if we have. And I think we could get a little bit of unpredictability from Šeško and Rodrigo, but an Eze for me there would really tick that box. Look, I don't know if I see it happening, just because I think we're going to go elsewhere, to be honest. I think we're pretty set on Rodrigo. But what is exciting is if we can't get Rodrigo done, I don't think we're going to see ourselves short. And I could definitely see this accelerating. The one thing I would say is if we do get him, to get the very best out of him, he would need to be inside. And then that left-hand side would need looking at as how we're platforming him then.
But could he play left 8 with Odegaard, right 8, and either Rice or Zubimendi? I mean, you want the squad to be big enough so you can make these sorts of decisions and have these sorts of headaches where you can rest a Declan Rice. I mean, Declan Rice is not going to play every game 3-4 years on the spin. At some point, the guy is going to need a break. I know he's got the summer break, but when the season comes and goes, like, he's just going to, yeah. I mean, for me, I worry about life beyond Odegaard. Like, we are one injury away from having a midfield of Rice, Marino, and Zubamendi, and then all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
you're back to that sort of lack of connectivity between the midfield and the forward three.
I agree. And we're putting too much on one area to expect him to do that. So look, I think we can. I think for me, with Ødegaard, Vieira, Waneri, and then you get better forwards, I think we solve our creativity issue to some degree. I still don't think we'd become the most creative team in the league, but I think we'd solve a lot of our problems. But Eze would be a very, to me, what would feel like quite an un-Arsenal signing, to be honest, and maybe that's why we like it.
Interesting. Well, we shall wait and see. And Morgan Rogers, the other player, of course, pictured there. He's the player that I would have loved. And when we talked about sort of leggy and mobility and dynamism and that sort of box to box, he would have been the one for me. Morgan Rogers. I would have loved for Arsenal to go and knocked on Villa's door and tested their PSR resolve. However, it looks like they're going to sell their ladies team to themselves. Don't even get me started on that, but that's just the way that it's going to be. I know, laughable. Let's wait and see what Big Berta has planned for us. Another bomber, this time a Hand of Arsenal bomber. Christian Mosquera. You got to get your Chris Eubank. Christian. Stupendous summer's day. I love Chris Eubank. We are targeting Christian Mosquera as our ideal defensive choice this summer. 20 years old, plays for Valencia, ever present in La Liga, playing 39 times. What do you make of this prospect, mate?
I've seen about 3 comps of him, so I don't want to comment too.
3 more than me.
Too strongly. But listen, sometimes when you I think again physically, I was talking this a little bit on TCP Live. The game is becoming more intense. The game is more running. The game is more transitional. The game it's just more and more about athletes. And Mosquera is an athlete, mate. He's an athlete. I think I will lean on people who know more about him than me in terms of to fill in more blanks. But I think I could talk more about the deal, maybe. I think I can see this potentially helping us with the sort of the versatility across the back. He played a lot as a left centre back as well for Valencia this season. I think he's played left centre back, right centre back, and right back for Valencia. I don't know if I've seen him or heard of him playing left back, but maybe he has. So there's a thing here. But I think really, to me, this indicates a level of ruthlessness that I kind of wanted to. I said this in a video at the start of the summer. Alex, am too soft, so I'd keep Tomiyasu around. But that's not the point. So I want Tomiyasu to succeed at Arsenal, but we can't, realistically, a multi-million-pound organization can't be relying on him. So the fact that we've done this, I think, is really, really good. I think this means we don't move for a Jarell Hato, just personally, because I think if you look at the left-hand side options, you get, who have you got? Miles, Calafiori, Timber, even Kivior, Zinchenko still is around, etc. Now Mosquera, you could say all those guys could play left back. I don't think we now move for Hato. Maybe we do, but to me, this is a big squad hole, and I'm pleased we've done it. Just need to learn more about him.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, look, the move hasn't been sort of done yet, and the fee could range anything between sort of 15 million euros and up to 19 million euros, depending on who you follow on socials. We have shown interest in Mark Gueye of Crystal Palace, but it looks like Liverpool are going to be after the England international, that particularly after Kanate has decided that he wants to leave on a free next summer. That's going to be very amusing. But this guy, look, ever present for the Spanish under-21 team. He's played 90 times for Valencia in his career, predominantly centre-back and right-back, may play on the other side as well. And he was ever present in all of their games, playing 90 minutes in 37 of the 38 La Liga games, playing 39 times in total last season. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, it's typical of Mikel Arteta. We're all crying out for a striker, for a midfielder, and then the news breaks that we get Nørgaard and now another defender. Let's end on the striker pursuit, because you have DM'd Benjamin Šeško's agent, haven't you? What's that about? Tell us the story.
Should we see if he's replied?
Yeah,
I doubt it. No, nothing. I thought I'd try my luck because I saw a few people talking to him. So I thought, well, not if he's replying to people. Let's see what happens.
Well, listen, he started following Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres has apparently started following Elite Security Dogs of London, or whatever it's called. I mean, you can never beat Arsenal fans. I know. Tell me about it. Who are you leaning towards out of the two?
Šeško. As long as we go and get a proper left winger, which I will not accept anything less than a Barcola or a Rodrigo or something like that. I'm going for Šeško for reasons that I just I don't want to miss out on this talent. And Gyökeres, I think, would score goals for us 100%. But I think it's that for me, it's about the combination. You get the Rodrigo, you get the ceiling right now that raises our technical ceiling that comes in. And I think if he's put in the team properly and hits the ground running, I think he elevates everyone. And then you give Šeško a little bit of time to play alongside Havertz, play behind Havertz, maybe come off the bench and affect games. But mate, Šeško, it's another Isak for me, and I think he's even more complete than Isak was at his age. I also, honestly, mate, I don't think it's gonna take as long as people think for Šeško, because he solves issues that, like, we don't have a channel running 9. So he comes in is our only channel running 9. We don't have a number 9, in my opinion, with that level of hang time. So he immediately comes in and becomes a threat in that sense. We don't have a number 9 with, in my opinion, that level of touch on the dribble. So like you keep going through and you go, it's not only that he, for me, has brilliant skills and is a bit of an issue. Has issues elsewhere, but I always talk about like the shape of the puzzle piece that he solves may not be coloured in yet, may not be mature yet, may not be exactly right. But our issues, when everyone watches Arsenal and goes, where's the running? Where's the aerial threat? Where's the box threat? Where's the technical quality centrally in little spaces? All those. Where's our transition quality? All those things. Šeško comes in and is like, here I am. He has other issues, but yeah, I just think it makes a lot of sense for me. And I like Gyökeres to some degree, but I just think he has issues.
The common denominator: Nørgaard, 6'+", Mosquera, beast, 6'2", 6'3", depending on what internet website you believe. Internet website? How old am I? You spat out your tea there.
www.
No, http // and of course Šeško, 6'5", monster. I mean, right. Arteta he might have some sort of mental illness, but I absolutely love him for it. I got to end on this. You're not going to believe this, Alex, but as we've all been looking forward to the start of the new season, we've all got the fixtures in our calendars. We got a wedding invite about 3 months ago from a family member, 17th of August, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
That doesn't sound good.
It doesn't. And tonight, I told my missus I am not going to this family wedding because Arsenal are at Old Trafford. She stormed out of the house, slammed the front door, and she's just returned, and I can hear her banging plates and dishes in the kitchen. She is fuming. And do you know what? Sometimes, Janu, if you're watching, sometimes you do, and you wait for me to finish. I love you with all my heart.
You got to allow him. You got to allow him. You don't understand.
The Arsenal community know. They know. So, Awais, I'm going to find out, mate. And if I don't return tomorrow, you know what's happened. I'm going to miss out on the wedding, of course.
Yeah, but you'll get some evils or whatever. But what's more important? Do you know what I mean?
That's right. We're going to leave it there. Tomorrow, we have Art de Roche of The Athletic. Next week, we've got Harry Symeou, Haroon Hickman, and one or two others. And we're going to have the Late Night Lounge because it's Friday, of course. So listen, thank you for tuning in. Still hundreds of you watching. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and get involved in some of the videos that we've done on the channel feed. Really appreciate all the support, particularly after last night's episode, which was fantastic with Sammy Mockbell. Do check that out. Alex can be found at The Different Knock and the Cannon Podcast, and of course, Alex Moneypenny on socials. Look after yourselves. Stay cool. Sleep well. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.